I hope everyone's doing well and welcome back to another weekly outlook. So cool. Last week we spoke specifically about two main trade ideas, or rather two pairs that we want to look at, which were USDCHF and USDCAD. We're still in a position on USDCAD. We didn't re-hit USDCHF yet, right? But we can speak about potentially getting a re-entry on that as this week comes. But let's just get into a normal weekly outlook. Not a crazy week by any means. You guys can really tell by this candle on DXY as well. Of course, there's some sort of expansion here. We've taken the previous weekly low, traded through it, but not a big candle by any means compared to some of the last few candles, right? So cool. With this big wick away, with this weekly OTE, of course, we expected the move away. That move away has begun. So I'm anticipating this to be a market maker sell model on the DXY in play at the moment. And evidently, we have bearish order flow. Prices creating those lower lows and lower highs on the 4 hour. Very clean chart over here. We initially did think this might get hit. This got skipped. New range, retracement, new range, retracement. And of course, another continuation here is what's coming. So what do you want to see from the DXY in the coming week? It's pretty much just continuation. I really wouldn't expect this high to go, right? In specific, that would be this high over here. I do think that high can hold up for us, which might actually be previous weekly high. And from here, we essentially just want to see price kick low. We can see price trade lower. In terms of sentiment, in terms of economic news, we're pointing towards a rate cut. It's what everyone's expecting, but I don't think it's entirely been priced in yet. Of course, we have had, a major turnaround from the premium when when that news sort of initially came about. But last week, what we had was CPI came. CPI was pretty bearish. However, it didn't cause a sort of major expansion. It did give a bit of a kick, but nothing too crazy. And then PPI came and traded us back into the range on the Thursday because it came out against expectations, right? It didn't give essentially a bearish result for the DXY because it came in a bit hot, showing that there is a figure of inflation that people need to be concerned about. But anyways, on the Friday, then we pretty much reversed all of that. Price carried on trading down. I believe Trump was speaking this day. I'm not sure what, but he may have said something significant. But yeah, let's have a quick look at this week. We don't have much going on the Monday, not much on the Tuesday either, apart from this stuff with the CAD. This is something we want to watch for now, right? If we are in a short on USD CAD, right, we're essentially betting that the inflation for the dollar is going lower, or rather, in simpler terms, the dollar is getting weaker, and ideally, we want CAD to get stronger. And how can the CAD get stronger? If the CPI comes in hot. So we want to see big inflation figures, which is what's forecasted, right? And if we can get those, or just above them ideally, then of course we should see USD CAD, which has been lagging so far, to then catch up to the other pairs. There's not much going on the Wednesday apart from pound CPI that I'll be worried about. We do have FMC meeting minutes. It's at the end of the trading day. I do think, depending on what they say, it could give us the kick we're looking for, but it's hard to say. It depends on where we are on our charts when we approach this meeting. But it is definitely one to watch. Thursday is jam packed with news events, lots of news events, especially from London session all the way to the end of New York for the US dollar, and on the Friday we have Powell speaking, which I would say would be the biggest event to watch for. So cool, that is pretty much it in terms of news events. Nothing too crazy this week, and we know we want bearish dollar. Marked out daily range. We've hit the premium of this range. We actually hit the premium before, and we start making a move away on the Tuesday. From here, I really expected we would go lower, but we didn't. Right, prices really swept the highs, but we are still just in the premium, right? And to me, this is sell side liquidity sort of being clustered. So I think the odds are we may just sweep this, which is previous weekly high, and hit this daily order block. And it's a good chance we can look for lower price from there again. If this does turn around, then with the dollar hand in hand, we can get a lower resistance liquidity run. Oh, this has been an annoying chart for some. Now, cool. What I like to see is the fact that we swept these equal lows. We did expect these to go, but one thing I don't like on this daily chart is very sideways now. Right? We took the highs, we taken the lows, we're sort of just here. So now it's like, what's the next move? And when we look at the weekly chart, of course, we have a wick, but we also have these two other wicks. So is price going to turn around from here or not is the big question, I would assume most time. If we take a look at the monthly candle, we haven't swept the previous candle's high or the low. I think the odds are, if now we've swept these equal lows and we trade back into this range, we only have roughly just over 10 days for expansion. Now, that is a lot of time. Price can still kick the other way if it wants to, but I think it's really dependent on the news events coming up this week, right? Because otherwise, there's a good chance that we could just stay sideways, stay inside this consolidation, keep engineering liquidity, and that kick to break us out might come well later. So I think the odds are from this sell-side liquidity sweep that we will push higher, but we want to be careful and understand that price could hit the premium of the consolidation and just come back down and sort of just stay in this range and stay in where the monthly candle is right now. We'll first look at USD CAD.